Harold and the Purple Crayon, written and illustrated by Crockett Johnson. Copyright date is 1955, published by HarperCollins Publishers. The appropriate audience for this book is children in the 3 to 5 year age group. Harold and the Purple Crayon is perfect for children in this age group with its simple story and its minimalistic illustrations. The pages aren't too busy and the sentence structures are short and easy to understand. This is a fantasy story about a likable little boy with a big imagination. Children enjoy books that contain relatable characters with a similar age, and Harold's crayon is another familiar thing that children can relate to. While this is a simple story, its quality writing teaches children about emotions as they travel along with Harold and experience his failures and his successes. Let's read Harold and the Purple Crayon. The glare is unfortunate. Harold and the Purple Crayon. One evening, after thinking it over for some time, Harold decided to go for a walk in the moonlight. There wasn't any moon, and Harold needed a moon for a walk in the moonlight, and he needed something to walk on. He made a long, straight path so he wouldn't get lost, and he set off on his walk, taking his big purple crayon with him. But he didn't seem to be getting anywhere on the long straight path, so he took a shortcut across the field, and the moon went with him. The shortcut led right to where Harold thought a forest ought to be. He didn't want to get lost in a forest, so he made one very small one with just one tree. It turned out to be an apple tree. These apples would be very tasty, Harold thought, once they turned red. So he put a frightening dragon under the tree to guard the apples. It was a terribly frightening dragon. It even frightened Harold. He backed away. His hand holding the purple crayon shook. Suddenly, he realized what was happening. By then, Harold was over his head in an ocean. He came up thinking fast, and in no time, he was climbing aboard a trim little boat. Good job, Harold. He quickly set sail, and the moon sailed along with him. After he sailed long enough, Harold made land without much trouble. He stepped ashore on the beach, wondering where he was. The sandy beach reminded Harold of a picnic, and thinking of a picnic reminded Harold he was hungry. So he laid out a nice, simple picnic. There was nothing but pie, but they were all 9 kinds of pies that Harold liked best. When Harold finished his picnic, there was quite a lot left. He hated to see so much pie go to waste. So Harold left a very hungry moose and a deserving porcupine to finish it up. And off he went, looking for a hill to climb so he could see where he was. Harold knew that the higher up he went, the farther he could see, so he decided to make a hill into a mountain. If he went high enough, he thought, he could see the window of his bedroom. He was tired and he felt he ought to be getting to bed. He hoped he could see his bedroom from the top of the mountain. As he looked down over the other side, he slipped. There wasn't any other side of the mountain. He was falling in thin air. But luckily, he kept his wits and his purple crayon. He made a balloon and he grabbed onto it. And he made a basket under the balloon big enough to stand in. He had a fine view from the balloon, but he couldn't see his window. He couldn't even see a house. So he made a house with windows. And he landed the balloon in the front yard. None of the windows was his window. He tried to think of where his window might be. He made some more windows. He made a big building full of windows. Look at him go. He made lots of buildings full of windows. He made an entire city full of windows. Look at him go. None of the windows was his window. He couldn't think of where it might be. He decided to ask a policeman. The policeman pointed him the way Harold was going anyway, but Harold thanked him. And he walked along with the moon, wishing he was in his room and in his bed. Then, suddenly, Harold remembered. He remembered where his bedroom window was when there was a moon. It was always right around his window. Right around the moon. And then Harold made his bed. He got in it and he drew up his blankets. The purple crayon dropped to the floor and Harold dropped to sleep. The end. Going outside on adventures is so much fun. Harold sure loved his adventures. Even though he got scared, he got lost and tired, he didn't give up. He found his window. What do you think that you would draw if you had your own magic purple crayon?